Obesity is one of the biggest causes of health problems in Britain, across Europe, the US, and in many countries around the world. And the fact that it coexists side by side with malnutrition and even starvation just underlines the sheer insanity of modern capitalism. In 2023, 1 in 4 UK adults met the criteria for obesity. In the US, it's 1 in 3. The health consequences to obesity are serious: heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, bone and joint issues like osteoarthritis, and then of course cancer. Obesity is statistically linked to a higher risk of developing several forms of cancer, though the exact biological mechanism still isn't fully understood. The causes are deeply embedded in the way we live today. Sedentary, automated work environments mixed with processed and ultra-processed foods, loaded with fat and sugar and stripped of fiber. Human beings evolved to be hunter-gatherers, walking roughly 18 miles a day. Sugar and neat carbohydrates were practically non-existent in their diets. Instead, people lived on roasted tubers, fruits, grains, with meat as just one element of a varied intake. Our bodies are not adapted to the modern industrial diet, which has only existed for a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms, about 200 to 250 years depending on where you live. Agriculture itself has only been around for about 10,000 years. We evolved over hundreds of thousands of years for something entirely different. The consequence is a mismatch between what our bodies are built for and the world we now live in. Take the UK as an example. It's the only country in Europe where more than half the average person's calories come from ultra-processed foods. And that's no accident. So the rational answer should be obvious. Government and public health authorities could support people by making healthy lifestyles accessible: free gyms, better access to green spaces, tighter regulation of unhealthy food, a crackdown on advertising sugar-filled drinks. But none of that is likely to happen unless we see a government rooted in socialism. Because any meaningful change to food policy runs straight into the buzzsaw of food industry lobbying and the influence of a deeply compromised corporate media. It is a sector dominated by a handful of giant companies that spend tens of millions lobbying governments, effectively buying politicians. And most importantly, obesity is a class issue. It's poverty related. The cheapest food is always the worst: high in sugar, fat and additives, low in nutrients and fiber. Working class families who buy fresh fruit and veg also have to think about spoilage and food waste. And that's why, if you overlay a map of obesity rates with maps of deprivation, the correlation is crystal clear. The highest levels of obesity are in places like Hartlepool and Stockton-on-Tees. The lowest, Islington and Hammersmith. But at the same time, we've also got this toxic cult of thinness coming from fashion, cosmetics, media, every angle of corporate mass culture. But instead of compassion or any structural change, society bombards especially women and girls with impossible standards of beauty. Eating disorders affect around 3% of young women, and anorexia has the highest death rate of any mental illness. 5% die within 4 years of diagnosis. This is the brutal context into which the new generation of weight loss drugs has entered the scene. Wegovy from Denmark and Mounjaro from the US, both are injectable, and the science says they work. But a recent article in the British Medical Journal highlighted the growing risk of a two-tier system. The public wants these drugs and demand is exploding, but the response from the state is restriction. NICE, the organisation that greenlights prescriptions, currently approves them only for the most obese patients with a secondary health condition. Even then, the NHS rollout is planned to take up to 12 years because of budget constraints. But millions of people are overweight or obese now, and many of them are subjected to relentless fat shaming from the media, fashion and cosmetics industry. Meanwhile, almost every day there's another article in the press about these miracle weight loss jabs. The demand is so high that those who can afford it, roughly £150 a month, are already turning to private providers. Many others are heading online where risks skyrocket. Fraudsters are already pushing impure or fake products, sometimes just saline solution for £100. A search online pulls up dozens of sponsored links offering these drugs, no questions asked. As the BMJ said bluntly, it seems clear that access will be available only to a chosen few. The nice position under pressure from government doesn't even make financial sense. Obesity-linked illnesses are going to cost the NHS far more than £150 a month per person. Take diabetes alone. York University estimated it cost the NHS £14 billion in 2022. That's enough to fund 10 million courses of Wegovy or Mounjaro. Everyone loves to talk about moving from treatment to prevention, but when it comes down to funding that shift, it never materializes. Say something like adult social care, the decision gets kicked down the road again and again. West Streeting's response? Well, another hard choice ducked, despite the fact that failing to act now will cost the NHS and other healthcare services more in the long run. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and head over to our website at www.lefthorizons.com. You can read the full article on our website, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter there. Thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you next time.